Derivatives trading involves substantial risk loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Well, my alarm did not go off, but we did get started at the right time. I'm looking at the markets right now, and the numbers actually look okay here, so it might not necessarily be a bad day. It's a Monday. And we're coming over here in the charts, and we're quite a bit down. Moving up a little bit here off of the open. That's a tough call. It does look like a little bit of mean reversion today. Yeah. 6J is not really doing anything either. Okay, well. Cool, and that all does it by itself. I'm liking it. Just thinking about why, like I woke up earlier and I'm like, was that when I was supposed to wake up? My clock upstairs is a little bit off, so I never switched it. Now I have to relog into this. There we go. Oh, it's pretty quiet. Wrong window. Oh. Wait, why is it not? That's weird. Good morning, Luke and Jan. Close that. No, not what that was, but no. So like, I have like a. Okay, so here I have like a thing I do stream, and I right click and I just open all of them, and I opened up I went to this one because that's usually how I grab the link, but I don't have to do that anymore. But then I go to this one where I can stream, where I can see you guys talking, right? And the link is like gone. Isn't that weird? So we're gonna bookmark this page and add it into the stream. And one and there. Now everything is right again, so that when I go like, well, if I just close this one and I go open all 5, there. Every window that I need is there. I don't know why it messed up like that. And I don't even need this one because I don't need to go here and blah 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 blah. But my head is like, I don't feel right because normally I would have no, nothing here from Ransquawk. Okay. And then today, let's just look here. News. We don't really have anything until Wednesday. So this could be a really slow day. In fact, it's been up and it's been down already. That kind of tells you what's going to happen today. Okay, so, but the thing is I slept in. Like my phone died and my alarm never went off, and I've normally been awake for an hour. So I'm gonna go and take care of the things that I need to take care of first, since I don't really see a whole lot happening until equities open. All right, so we're just gonna keep this going here. If anybody asks any questions, y'all know what's going on. Why I'm being so quiet, right? So I'll be back hopefully like 30 minutes, all right? All right, we're back. How you guys doing? It doesn't look like probably not too well, huh? Because it's been really crappy still. Bum 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 bum. So good. Yeah. That's still right where it was. Man, there has not been a lot of movement in the first 30 minutes of trading at all. And now we're into the time period where we really just don't like to trade. So, I'm going to turn the cam off here for a bit so I can eat. And then we should be like all good and ready to go for the day. Okay, so we're back to the top of the range. How you guys doing? You still with me? Yes, sir. Thank you. Ice trades morning. Going short at 28.9150 if it gets hit. Okay, an interesting spot, and I do see there was a little bit of a comeback, but I'm not too sure about that one. There's still some magic the ace sees there that I don't. I'm really tempted to go long in the treasuries there because I was thinking maybe we could move up. And there, while I was eating, it did move up here. No piking around, buddies. Well, Peter got long at 24. Digital shot got out of that one. Good deal. 10-year yields leaking higher on Aramco rate locks. It seems like that this is an oil-driven move here. I don't know. So I know that Aramco is the Saudi Arabia's oil company. I know that. They do a rate hike or the rate lock. Where? So here on my news feed, do I see anything earlier about such a thing? Aramco launches massive 6-part dollar debt deal, which is already 4 times oversubscribed. Okay. Okay. We get to tick down. Fix my chart here. Okay. Just came and he's already printing money on his short. He's offering 25 bucks so far, but who knows, it could turn against me also. Yeah. It's kind of, see, I don't necessarily see a huge reason for this market to move yet. CT is sitting pretty too. So Bitcoin's come off a little bit. Still a lot of buying in Bitcoin. It looks fairly weak. Well, the issue I'm having right now is that it appears that treasuries are rising because of a offering that the Saudi oil company is doing, and it is causing all of the currencies to move, and it is causing oil to move. But it never caused equities to move, and I'm not sure that there is any reason for equities to move. So even though I'm going long in treasuries and I'm expecting treasuries to move up, that doesn't necessarily mean that equities are going to come down because of what the driver is right now. So it may be the case that equities will open pretty close to where they are right now. I better do something soon. I have to go warm my waffle maker. So what kind of a waffle maker do you have? Do you have like I really want to get like one of those nice iron ones that are like big and, you know. So I have the one with the big divots, but I don't have like the one that's extra hot and all that stuff. That's what we gotta get into. Restream widgets now available. Oh, that's cool. OBS has just updated to officially support Restream IL along with our brand new set of widgets. Chat widget, title, and game widget. Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it. I can use that. Because then I can just keep open OBS instead of all this other stuff. So that's cool. What? So the news story I'm seeing on r/politics this morning is Donald Trump used to call Kristen Nielsen at home in the mornings to demand she stop migrants, says the report. Because Kristen Nielsen suddenly, and quite unexpectedly, I think at least to people not in the administration, she resigned last night. And it doesn't look like they had anybody signed up to take her place. And the acting, her vice, whatever, just like all the other ones. But the whole thing is kind of interesting. I wonder what it was that she wasn't doing that Donald Trump thought that she was supposed to be doing. Oh boy, what did Romney say about it? I'm checking all the news now. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to get filled at 18. Mitt Romney says you can't have millions upon millions of people flooding into our country without a border that's secure, without ICE making sure that the people that are here illegally are sent back, he said, referencing the nickname for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. This is a winning issue, I think, for Republicans, but more importantly, it's a winning issue for Americans to say we have to have the sovereignty of our nation. That is the last thing I would have expected Mitt Romney to side with Donald Trump on, but he was pretty hawkish on immigration when Mitt Romney ran. So I guess maybe it makes sense. But I don't know. I think that things in immigration are going to get ugly real fast here. Something crazy is going to happen. There's going to be some sort of big dramatic issue that everybody argues about. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's not something bad. But you just know with the amount of discussion that's going on about it, like this thing is just ready to. Andrew Marchese asks, are you long or short? I don't have a position yet. I have a limit order in at 18, but I don't think that is going to fill. I could potentially get long at 18.5, but I don't like my risk reward there. And you know, we're going to have the equities open here in a second, so I don't know what's going to happen. It does look like Ace is getting a little bit of movement on here. So I wonder if he will cut it off here or not. Maybe she just felt like it was wrong to keep kids in cages. I don't know what their the thing is like what policies has she carried out, you know? Like you got to remember, and this is an important point to remember that I think everybody forgets. It was Jeff Sessions that started the kids in cages thing, really, when you think about it. He was the one that changed the policy, and then because they changed the policy, they either had to let them go or put kids in cages because of the way that the law was. And then there was a couple of court orders and everything, and now basically because of that because Jeff Sessions picked that fight, and Jeff Sessions did it, the administration apparently was caught off guard a little bit. They didn't think it was a big deal, at least. Like, he's like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, okay. And then it turned out to be really bad, right? But now our immigration law is basically like, you know, Swiss cheese because of that. They just need to release them into the deserts of the Southwest and just let them figure it out, I guess. Yes, but Uzi, if you did that, what happens if you get somebody that actually is a citizen or actually has a reason to legally be there and you deport them? See, you can't just do that. You have to give them due process. So, and then you add on top of that if you have kids with you, you don't want to separate the kids out. And so the issue becomes that they either have to hold them somewhere, which they're trying to do, but they don't have enough room for. And then they have to start releasing them out into the United States and hope that they come back when their immigration court date arrives, which I highly doubt they're going to do. Yep. I figured you were being sarcastic, but either that or hustle up and start building 5-star resorts to hold them. I mean, the thing, like, let's just be honest with ourselves. There is not a good solution to this. The way that things are right now, there is not a good solution to this. One of the things that you can do is you can say to Mexico that you need to start enforcing your border a little bit better. But what's going to stop them from doing the same thing in the Mexico border? You know, now their laws are a little bit more strict, but you know, there's probably a lot of problems there that Mexico doesn't want to deal with, and that's why they're just kind of ignoring it right now, because they know that they're not going to stay there, so why should they cause a big ruckus for their government? You know what I mean? Now, if Donald Trump like closed the border or something like that, that would change that calculation, but I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, it's like, what the heck do people expect them to do with 100,000 people ramming into the border a month? Yeah. And I think that this is a really good, at least for me, it seems to me like the one thing that you can do here is you can actually prevent them from crossing the border in the first place, right? If they're in Mexico and you have a wall and you're watching it really carefully and you turn them around so that they don't come over, then you don't have as heavy of a load on the immigration courts. And then the immigration courts can process people through in a day. And then people won't be getting into the country illegally and they will stop coming because they know that there's no point. They build hasties to hold as many people as possible using old retail space and chain link for walls, free land anywhere they can. Yeah, well, they had that temporary holding facility underneath of an overpass, right? The whole thing is just crazy. But again, back to the subject at hand, what was it that Christian Nielsen is supposed to do that she's not doing? I don't know. I would not be, if I was under consideration for that job, I would not be excited to pick it up because that seems to me like a position that you can't win in, right? Because no matter what you do, you're going to be the big baddie at this point. They nominate somebody new and put somebody new in there, and then next time something bad happens, regardless of if you had anything to do with it, they're going to blame you. And the whole media is going to come after you because you were the person recently put in there. And they're like, see, we shouldn't have confirmed him in there. And those birds know that my family has come home and they're squawking to see if they can get them to wake up and come down. And he can probably hear me talking too. So sorry about that. Oh, look at the E-mini going down there now. I don't know, still pretty range bound. It is appearing doubtful, though, that I'm ever going to get filled at 18. So this might move up without me. I don't know if it's going to move up a whole lot. So while we're waiting, there was something else I wanted to talk about today. Because I've been seeing a lot on Reddit lately. Well, not a lot, but there's definitely a group of people that are really into this Andrew Yang guy that's running for president. And his whole thing is he thinks that we should tax technology companies and luxury goods and give that money in the form of a paycheck every month to everybody. He thinks that he can give everybody $1,000 a month. Can you believe that? $1,000 a month, basic minimum income from the government. And then this gets in this whole discussion about inflation, and some of the things that the people say to me, I think are like really like, oh my gosh, I don't think have a clue what you're talking about. But so here's where I think that the key issue is, and here's the question I want to ask you, and then I'll tell you what my opinion is on it, and why I think certain answers are maybe right or wrong, right? What causes inflation? That's the question. What causes inflation? Yeah, no one cares whether or not the adults. Children come across the border with our parents or sex traffickers, so we can't separate people either. Yeah, that's the whole thing is a real problem, man. Well, maybe we have a little bit better of a chance. The thing that right here is 3,600. So there's not a lot of people stacking on top of me, which says to me that these guys don't think that they're going to get filled there at 18. And if they do get filled, it's going to be a surprise, and it could flip against us. So I would like to see an iceberg there if I do get filled. Ooh, look at that. There's a ton that just traded back and forth there in the E-mini. Wow, now they're moving down. Yeah, that really moved them. Wow. Anyways, so on inflation. So the guy that I was arguing with yesterday, he claims that what causes inflation is printing too much money. I don't think that that's correct. Printing too much money can cause inflation, but not always, right? We've been printing a ton of money for the past 10 years. We've had, below neutral interest rates, and we've actually been buying assets because there's actually deflationary pressures here, right? And so Matt says to me, there's not a one-to-one relationship between those two things, right? There's a lot of other things involved. For instance, what if there was a famine in the United States? Seems like something unlikely to happen in our modern age, but let's just say that it happened. There was a famine in the United States. The price of food would go up, and that would cause a change in consumer price index, which we would read as inflation, right? So they're not a one-to-one relationship. So I say that the right answer to that question is, what causes inflation is people paying more for goods. That's what causes it, right? People start paying more money, then prices go up. That causes inflation. And there could be a number of different reasons why they are paying more. Could be that there is too much money in the system, but it could also be the local supply and demand equation for those particular goods has made it as such that people are paying more for it, right? So from a supply demand side, if everybody all of a sudden started making $1,000 a month, what does that do to supply and demand for, core consumer goods, for housing, maybe even education, things like that, right? Well, people can afford to pay more, so sellers are probably going to raise their prices. I guarantee you that happens. The first thing that'll happen, rent will go up. 100%. Because rent has been going up a lot. Anyways, there's not enough low-income housing. First thing that would happen, I think, is that rent would go up. And that would be inflation, right? They say you wouldn't get inflation because you're not changing the amount of money that's actually printed out there. It doesn't matter. You're moving money into a sector. And of course, you're taking it out. Where are you taking it out from? The stock market. So what are you going to have? You're going to have a falling stock market, rising inflation. If you're the Federal Reserve, those things are going opposite directions from where they are normally going. What are you going to do? Right? Because if you lower interest rates to handle the stock market crash, you could get runaway inflation. And if you raise rates to take care of the inflation, you're almost certainly going to have a stock market crash or an even worse stock market crash. Right? So my take on it is it's a really, really bad fucking idea. But that was the argument I was having with people yesterday. Okay, well, we never got filled. We could have potentially have gone long at 18.5, but I didn't like the risk reward. We maybe could have gotten a tick out of it. If it was to come back down there, would I be super excited to pick it up? I don't think so. Now, the short in the E-mini, I don't think that Ace probably already took his profits, but because I don't think he likes to hold through the open. But now that it's going, you got a really good short there. So let's just watch here. If we had gotten long at 18, Would we be able to get filled at 19.5? It's questionable, but there's 27 stacked on the bid at 19, so I think that it's possible that we could get filled there. Okay. But there is quite a bit trading through there in the 5-year as well. And the E-mini is seeing some big sizes here too. I'm wondering, can you just buy this? I think so. Okay. Okay. So a little bit too much trading there at 86.75. I need to see them continue pumping. Okay. If this comes down, I'm not so sure that that will hold, so I'm going to have to get rid of that order. Okay. I'm going to keep a really tight stop because I don't want to see this just turn. Yeah, see like that? See, there's this big order right here. Should see that hold, okay. But it's not going up beyond that. Well, that bid is still pumping pretty hard when it goes. You see that? Yeah. Break even. There's a block sell in Treasuries here though, so I guess you would have gotten filled at 19, but not 19.5. So I was right to be concerned there for the equities. And sellers really want to push that low. It's common to see reckless investments as it becomes easier to get credit. So can you imagine what it would do to credit if that happened? Because I don't know about you. Well, I've recently paid off pretty much all of my debt, but if I had debt and I was getting $1,000 extra a month, you know that money that's straight where that money would go, you know? So now all of a sudden, that would be a big problem for banks. Like, I think that they would want to, they would prefer higher rates because of that. Yeah, it's harder to get that money back for lenders. Well, I mean, the lenders will get their money back. They just won't get as much interest off of it because everybody will be paying their debt off. Hopefully. I would hope that everybody pays their debt off. Maybe not. Maybe they put it all into luxury goods. Andrew Yang seems to think that everything's going to go into luxury goods. The thing that was interesting about it was I was like, this would cause inflation and this is how it would do it. And there was this person that really honestly didn't seem to read anything of what I said. But he was like, well, whenever Andrew Yang talks, he is asked that question and he's covered it. And here's what he said when he's covered inflation. And I watched the video and he's saying, well, when we look at inflation, harmful inflation, Where are the three places that we're getting harmful inflation? And he says housing, healthcare, and education. And then all of the reasons for why we're getting inflation in those particular areas. And I was like, okay, great. So you just proved that inflation can be local to a particular industry because of a government created or just general market imbalance. So it's actually better support for my argument because, yeah, you're only seeing inflation in those three places. But what we're saying, Andrew, is that if you give everybody $1,000 a month, you're going to see inflation in all of the other places too, in addition to more inflation, particularly in housing, I think. I tell you what, I'm a landlord. All my tenants just got $1,000 more. I'm raising rents that next quarter. I was probably thinking about raising rents next quarter anyways, and maybe I was thinking maybe I should raise it $50, maybe I should raise it $100. Well, now I'm definitely raising it $100. So they're not done over here in equities. I think I caught a good pivot there, but it just didn't go, and I'm glad that I moved it to break even and, got wrong. Okay, so now all of the animals are waking up. I'm sad that I missed the long at 18, but, what you gonna do? Could continue through. I think if equity weakness continues, they're not quite, well, they're actually below the last pivot. The low of the day would be at 28.80. Ever notice how you see inflation in sectors where the affordability variable isn't on the consumer? That's a good point, because people aren't making more money, right? Like this past year, 100%, right? We'll see inflation in the producer price index, but not the consumer price index. So because of trade wars, the producer price index is experiencing inflation, but because people aren't really making much more money than they did before, they can't pass those increased prices onto the consumer, and so the companies just eat it. That's what's been happening. But can you imagine? I mean, if we gave everybody $1,000 a month, okay, normally we see like a 0.3 increase month over month in personal income. Number would be like a good number, we would be seeing like 5% or something like that. I don't know what the exact calculation is, but I think it would be over a 1% change in income, right? That would fuck with markets like so crazy, man. Would be good for us. I mean, it would be good trading. The average person gets surgery. They don't pay for it. Insurance does. Buy a house. You don't buy it. You finance it. Prices are dictated by whether or not for-profit companies can afford them. Right? Because honestly, the only thing that matters to you when you're buying a house is if you can pay the monthly cost, right? And especially with interest rates being so low, you can buy a much nicer house than you probably should be able to, I think. Make people pay for their own healthcare, and the healthcare industry would have to adjust or die. Yes. Well, so here's my understanding about what causes the price imbalance in the healthcare industry. Well, they're still going up. Maybe you could get filled at 20 now. This is still not a very good risk reward area for me. I think he wants to make it so that if you are already on welfare, you cannot get both welfare and the dividend. You have to choose one or the other, says Dojo 2022. Yeah, so my understanding of his plan is that you get $1,000 a month. But if you are, using food stamps, for instance, and you buy $500 of food stamps every month, that would go against the $1,000 a month that you would get from the government. but everybody would be getting at least $1,000 a month from the government. Like that scene in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels where something costs like $50. The guy pulls a stack of 10K, and well, guess what? Now it costs $200. Yeah, 100%. Everything that is covered by insurance of any kind has an inherently inflated value because consumers don't pay for any of it. That might be true. You know, I've never really thought of it that way, and I would wonder, okay, car damage repair, like body repair, is that the price of that inflated? Because it seems to me like man, fixing your car costs a lot. Is that inflated because of insurance? I'm not sure. I mean, there's no way for me to know that, but in insurance, what happens is in insurance that really bothers me is networks, right? The hospital says, okay, if you're in our network, here is the price for everything. And if you're not in our network, then here's the price for everything, right? And so because of that, they're able to inflate the prices because what they're giving everybody for the in-network should be what the price is to begin with, right? And that's the first problem that you have, is if you forced everybody to pay for their healthcare and there was no insurance, you would still have this, the problem would be, what price does the hospital tell you? Because right now, the hospital can charge you different prices based on who you are and you know what connections you have and things like that. If the hospital was forced to give the same price to everybody, right? You were only allowed to have one price for a particular service. And that would change a lot of things, right? Because now it would no longer be about giving a particular insurance company a really good deal and subsidizing it back across everybody else. It would be a supply and demand, but it would still be between the insurance companies and the hospital. It would be what are insurance companies willing to pay for that sort of a thing, and the insurance company would say we only pay this much, and if a hospital charges more than that, then nobody's going to go to the hospital for that thing because they can't get it, right? So if they were forced to charge everybody the same thing, it would be a very different story. I'm seeing a potential long here in equities. Okay. Yes, and I can tell you that from experience. So that's the question I'm going to have to research is because I think the place where a lot of people said insurance should be more like car insurance, you know, because that is allowed across state lines and all of those sorts of things. Okay, so if our health insurance system worked more like car insurance, would the price of things go down? And I think based on, if we assume that Uzi is correct, then that would mean that probably prices would go down temporarily, but they would still cost more than they probably should. Is I think what he's saying, right? I had an extensive conversation about this with an orthopedic specialist, and he explained to us how their prices are set by insurance companies. Insurance companies pay upwards of 80%, and they write off the rest as a loss. Yes. Well, and can you imagine? I mean, that's the other thing, is if that's one of the issues they have in socialized healthcare, because then if it's the government paying for it, then the government says, well, we're only willing to pay this much, and that might be not very much for the doctor. And so in some socialized healthcare countries, they're having a hard time getting people to be doctors because it's not worth it to them. Okay, so I am still seeing some absorption here at 85. Oh, they're still pushing through it. They're still selling it. I think I was a little too early. I think this is a spot that I would rather be taking. If people had to pay for their own healthcare, you wouldn't need a billing department cutting costs for him even further. Yes. Well, that's true, but then what happens when you get cancer, right? Because even if the cost, ooh, I like that. I like that. You know, the cost of that, even if it was a fair market price, is still crazy. Those things are crazy expensive still, and most people wouldn't be able to pay for it. And so then you might even run into a situation where really expensive procedures don't really exist because there's not very many people that can afford to do them. That $500 visit cost us, since we're uninsured, $120. What? Ugh. See, my back has been bothering me, and I need to go see an orthopedic specialist. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Buy that motherfucker. Come on. Out-of-pocket prices are objectively lower than prices insurance companies set for healthcare providers. I agree with that. Well, in the healthcare industry, at least. Oh, no. Okay, so we got a really big bid there, right there at 28.86. The buyers are not just like, or the sellers are not just puking yet. Okay, there was a big bid there and he disappeared. And he did not get filled. Okay, there he is again. Okay, half of that got filled. Wow, okay. I think that's the kind of price action that you want to see. It's shocking how few people know this. You can see a doctor for $50 without insurance. What? Nah, I'm pretty sure that some of my doctors, that if I was going there without insurance, it would not be $50. But I think that the one thing that gets inflated more than anything else is just the cost of a visit, for sure. Because to me, it's like, if he sees me for 30 minutes, it shouldn't be costing me more than $50, because that's him making $100 an hour. Now, of course, he has a bunch of employees that he has to pay, but how many of those employees are just there to deal with insurance companies? Okay, so is our target in a reasonable spot? If we got to 28.90, okay, that would be a good resistance point, I think. In fact, I may have to think about taking it off before then. I maybe should already have taken it off at 100. If I had multiple lots, I think that 100 would have been good. But we got some good buying there, and we're actually going to come out to a new high in cumulative delta. That's interesting. It's equity indexes with the divergences. So far, this appears, well, we are seeing some volume up in here. So let's see if they can push through it. But at the moment, it looks to me like that those lower prices got rejected, and now they're going to want to test the highs. Okay, well, first thing we got to do is we got to move this back up to here. Man, they are so loud. I'm just going to ignore them, but I'm feeling like, hey, You don't need to yell at the top of your lungs. But you know what happens is that, it's a wood floor over there. Shouldn't have gotten the wood floor, guys. Shouldn't have done it. Should have been only the kitchen. The living room should have been carpeted. Should have gotten thicker carpet. Mistakes were made. Our CPC is $65 for a routine visit. Yeah, but maybe that's being subsidized from all of the people that pay for insurance. Grocery stores go discounted and even free antibiotics and stuff now. Boom, done in 3 days, feeling better. Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of those really expensive medications, if you don't have insurance, you can get a discount for. So I have an issue with my colon. And so I take this medication that's basically like aspirin for your colon. Man, if this stops me out again, I'm going to be so mad. Okay, well, Treasuries are back down to a spot that maybe we could get filled. But if equities are going to buy up here, I don't know if we want to mess with that. And I see the 6J is coming down too, so I don't know if I want to be buying that. So I think we should continue stalking here for a long and seeing if there's a spot that's going to hold. Anyways, that medication that I do for that, it has like a special coating over it that allows it to not release until it gets into your colon. So it's like super high tech. And that pill, man, is like $1,000 for a month of it without insurance, right? But if you don't have insurance, you can get a discount card. And the discount card makes it much cheaper. In fact, I think the discount card makes it cheaper than what I pay on my insurance. So it's pretty retarded. And medications is probably one of the biggest costs right now. That's why everybody had to separate out their prescription costs. And yeah, pretty bum deal. Okay. Okay. So note that even though we were pushing the lows there, that cumulative delta didn't come down very much at all. I guess it's okay because we got maybe a slightly lower price. It still looks like strong buying, maybe too strong, but I think they could pull it out. Let's see. Okay. Man. Come on, guys. So that right there is just ranging. So I'm starting to notice a difference in the E-mini between ranging and like pushing. That right there was maybe a little bit of pushing. They're fighting it. Treasuries really came down there, huh? That's funny. Well, I think I'm likely to get filled now because they rejected my entry price there pretty strongly. Come on. Jeez. Nope. I don't know. To me, it still looks like it's ranging. I don't know if it's actually going to pop out here. So should I have just let that one wait? I don't know. Maybe. I think for the sake of argument, though, we can say that these were all pretty good trades in terms of like MFE and MAE and everything. They were pretty good. So, of course, this one didn't get 8, but this one did. But we're looking for 12 to 16. Well, Treasuries come all the way back. Now that they're back at 28.75, we could think about taking them long again. Okay. Equities are pushing this high, so I do think we could have kept that. I could maybe take it off here though. So that would have been 650, 750, 850. That would have been 12. I think I should change my strategy to get the 12. Well, not to. I shouldn't move the stop. I mean, I shouldn't move the profit target, but I should just look at it. And if I see 12 and I see anything going on there, I should take it off. We need a system of actual redistribution of wealth, says New York City Mayor. Desk. I just don't understand how people can be clamoring for these sorts of things when it's been shown so conclusively over the past 50 years that redistribution of wealth, quote unquote, doesn't work. I mean, the bum deal, like I almost feel weary about saying this, but I think the unfortunate truth might be that low and middle class labor just isn't worth as much anymore. But that's okay, because the price of everything is, things are getting so much cheaper to make that in the future, I don't think that you're going to need a whole lot of money to have a comfortable standard of living. Oh yeah, we should totally do that. Cool. Okay, so Treasuries did not hold that area at all and are potentially touching a new low now. And and E-minis still not exactly gangbusters. In fact, I'm thinking about potentially shorting it here. But I'm not seeing what I need to see to be taking it. It is a Monday. It might be. Maybe it's better to just not touch anything today. Okay, so something just happened there. There was a lot absorbed at 16.5. So they're making it appear that there's going to be a level break at 16. But you can't, since it's been a pretty range bound day today anyways, you can't be too sure about that. But there could be, if it is the case, sorry, when you get trend, you're going to go through that. So they totally could. I think it's 50-50. But when they don't, and if today continues to be a range bound day, this would be a good place to go long. And I can kind of still see equities still kind of look like they want to turn around and move down again. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a, we're going to put in here if we get more than 650, let's say. Right here. Okay, so they did that again. I think you might actually want to buy there at 16.5. Okay. So that did not work out. They took that at 16 really quickly. I was kind of watching it, it ticked down, and then they sold the 16 5,000 all at once. I was like, crap. It could turn around here, but when something like that happens, you don't want to be against it. I think I got a good fill on that one, so I'm okay with the entry, but yeah, that one didn't work out. Do you ever go long when the price is going up? Totally do, but you need the right kind of action and the right kind of day, right? So like today is a Monday and there's not really a lot of significant news out there. So my expectation is that we're probably going to have pretty slow action, and so I don't really want to take them as she goes, you know. Now you can do something like up here when it turned around, if you were really confident it was going to go down, you could have shorted 18.5. But generally speaking, when you watch me, I'm going to be closer. When you look at the last pivot, I'm going to be trying to take it as close to that last pivot as possible. You know, so if it does end up bouncing here, you know, I'm still going to be trying to get like 16.5 probably. I need to see really, really clear pressure and maybe some things about the day, like there's been some news or something like that to tell me that there's going to be enough trend to push me higher. to make up for the poor risk reward, right? Like it has to be a really high probability if the risk reward isn't very good. This one, I think that the risk reward was kind of 50-50-ish, but because we were down there so low, the risk reward was good enough. It was okay worth taking, and I lost 2 on it. I think that that's okay. E-mini's still going, so it could have held that one. It's kind of weird in the E-mini when I've been having ones where they come short on me, and so I've been taking profits, and then the one where I decide to just take it off is the one that goes. Well, the way that that moved, you could potentially be buying it here. Because that does kind of look like a fake out, but gotta be careful. Okay. I'm wondering if maybe I got filled there a little bit too easily. They're not really hitting into 16 though. It's kind of weird. Strangely quiet. So I'm seeing that this is maybe a spot where the E-mini might flip. And the 6J came back too. Not the 6E though. Oil actually moved up overall. That's funny. Okay, so that's not what you want to see. They're still not trading it, but I don't like that it's gone like that. I would like to see the 5-year tick back up. Okay. Good. Thank you. As soon as I say that, it ticks up. Okay. It's still just kind of sitting here quietly, and the E-mini is not sure what it's doing, although I do see selling. Just cumulative delta wise, they're selling. I can see that the level 2 is reacting very much in line with whether the E-mini is ticking up or down. When they were pushing the low there, okay, so there's a big iceberg underneath of us. They just sold 4K and it all got absorbed. $7K iceberg at 16.5. They go through him. They haven't ticked back up yet. Equities are still pushing. Okay, ticked back up. 1,000 on the bid. I see somebody's trying to hold it there in the E-mini right below the high. That's probably a bad idea. Okay, so that's RTH high. Usually when they touch the regular session high, it's not always a huge deal. So now there's an offer, ice offer too. Well, I think we would need to see a decisive move in the E-mini for this, well, what do we call it, stalemate to resolve itself. I'm feeling a little twitchy. Not gonna want to click things. Okay, sellers are trying to push it through here. They held that time. Okay, so they took out the 7K.
For all we know, it was the same guy at both of those spots. Okay, so somebody tried to kick it down there, but they were able to hold it. That's interesting. Okay, I think that the ZN buyer won there. Why are they not going for this 15 quarter in ZF? The ES picked up a couple of sellers there, but then they're not going down. They're going to stop some people out here. Could do anything. That bird sounds really upset, doesn't he? I didn't catch that comment that Ace Trades made earlier, Andrew Marchese. Yes, some people go long when prices go up. Oh man, I don't know if this is working. Like it appears like a good spot, and it does appear that the buyer won through the whole iceberg war there and everything, but the E-mini is not pivoting here yet, and so we've come back to my price. Like they just there was a couple of shorts that just got stopped out for a new high there. I think this trade is based too much on the E-mini breaking down. It doesn't necessarily make it as good of a probability trade for us. Now on the split side, now that we've moved down, it's awfully quiet, isn't it? You just have to throw more indicators in there, says Spencer to Izzy. That was great. But Easy was bidding at 22, and then you didn't. Who wasn't confident in it? Okay. I think they liked that uptick in ZF. Okay. They're going to take 15 core. Oh my gosh. I think that was maybe an algorithm that was putting the big bid there. But I think somebody needs to put their dog on a leash. That shouldn't be happening. It's encouraging for a long, but then they're not ticking through 17.5 yet. The E-mini is looking better for us though. There we go. Now mommy's going to talk to them and maybe they'll feel a little bit more comfortable and happy. Old bird. Do you have any strange indicators that you like to use? Volume. There you go. I have to tell you, I am a very strong believer that to be successful at trading, that you must include volume analysis of some kind in your trading. I've seen a lot of people that say, oh, no, you don't. You don't have to have cumulative delta or any of these other things on there. But then they're trading volume bars, right? You have to include volume in some form or another. Most of these indicators that are based on price are not really very useful because they generally, well, like for instance, Bollinger Bands. I think Bollinger Bands is a really, really great indicator, but you can't really trade off of just Bollinger Bands because all Bollinger Bands tell you is when a price movement is outside of the normal range that it should be trading, right? But if there's trend, it's going to do that, right? Volume is the only thing they can really tell you that there has been a change between the balance between buyers and sellers. Okay. So there was a pretty big iceberg there at 17.5. We ticked up. What kind of a volume indicator? Well, so the one that I really like to look at is called the cumulative delta. And what it is every time there's a market buy, cumulative delta increases by 1, and every time there's a market sell, cumulative delta decreases by 1. And what the cumulative delta tells us is not only the balance between buyers and sellers, but the balance between market orders and limit orders. So if price and cumulative delta are moving in opposite directions, then there's a divergence between price. There's basically the limit. The people that are using limit orders are actually stronger at that time. Right now, you can see price has moved up a few ticks and cumulative delta has been long, generally speaking. So I think he was not asking me. I think he was asking Uzi, but I'm answering the question anyways. I think that Uzi just only looks at the DOM, right? Anyways, this is one example of a volume indicator that I think is really great to use. E-mini still, I mean, you can see that they've sold it here. You can see that move down in cumulative delta. And there's kind of like, they're kind of right here on the edge. But then you can see that it's slow right there. They're not. Okay. So there was a sweep sell and some stops at 89.91. What are the numbers between my bid and ask? So that is the number of market orders that hit that price. So like right here, 13 have sold at 17 and 215 have bought at 17.5. If we tick and move back, so like, and it's been longer than about a second, then that field resets. So really it tells you how much volume was required to clear that price when it ticks up or down. So you can judge how much people are taking with limit orders. Jigsaw calls it the current trades column. And it's kind of Jigsaw's like killer feature. Of course, since then, a lot of people have stolen the feature, but I still think it's their most useful thing. Oh, he was asking me. So there you go. I mean, I can show you over here really quickly. I do have some charts, right? But you can see most of these. This one's cumulative delta. This one's cumulative delta. And then these ones are spreads, which, you know, that's just like the 10-year versus the 5-year, or the 10-year versus the 30-year, basically. And those aren't really telling us anything today. But then that's cumulative delta. These are similar to cumulative delta. That's just telling me the delta for that specific bar, right? Like there was a lot of selling there, and that iceberg caught it. And then since then we've ticked up. You can see that one right there in the top middle chart. See that little divergence there? That's what we took the trade based off of. And now you can see cumulative delta is moving up a little bit, but we're not really getting good follow through yet. The E-mini is falling there. And there was like that stop run, and now they are a little bit lower. So that's good. I don't like that at 17 that the amount bid is lower, but that could be a lure. So I'm not panicking about it. In fact, you can see it's kind of stacking. There we go. There's an uptick. 17.5. That's the first one. And pretty good, you know, like a decent amount bid on the uptick as well. And the 5-year looks like it could continue further. Oh no, Uzi. Were you still going to try and get 22? I guess he would have had to do 22, huh? So I don't know why they're not buying that 15.5 in ZF. Okay. And you can see some buyers here in the E-mini trying to catch it now. It's getting close to my time to go. I might just take 2 and say, fine. Oh, there you go. He stacked it. Thank you. The market maker likes me today, I guess. So those guys at 18 have almost completely pulled. It'd be interesting if we tick up and there's less than 1,500 on there. I just didn't think there was too much potential upside for it to warrant the risk since it's such a slow day, but alas, it could be long. Now the question is, do I pay a higher price? Yeah. I mean, I think you have the right logic there. I think that the problem is just that when it's a rangy day, you almost always have to take it against the trend, right? Well, not necessarily against the trend, but like on the edge, let's say, you know. So like, if I hadn't have been in that, I would have to be thinking about, you know, watching this momentum and seeing where it dies out at. It may have just happened there. I mean, the way that it happened there at 17.5 is acceptable. I think we could still have another tick up. But I would really like it to just, you know, tick up and fill me at 18.5 so I can go. The E-mini came back up there. So that's part of what's going on there. So I'm wondering if longs think that they've caught more people short, that they want to try and stop off at the high, but I think they're going to have a harder time getting it that time. Yeah, in fact, if the E-mini can move lower there, they might go to have some longs trapped. Like, I guess my other thing is that for me, when it's like this, I never take the as she goes, you know? Like, this is like, okay, if I wasn't long and I wanted to be long, I could be sitting here on limited 17.5 or buying into 18. You probably don't want to buy into 18. There's too much of a probability of it turning around, and you're not getting a good risk reward. You're not getting a good spot within the range. Oh, look at that. 17 is pulling too easily again. And I don't like that 3,500 stepped up on there at 17.5. And this is all, looks like it's still just trading based off of what the E-mini is doing. It was realistically a 3-tick risk, but I didn't want to get caught up risking 3 ticks for 2. Yeah, totally. Totally, right? Like, you would really, the best spot would have been 20. You could have gotten 20. I don't think that you would have gotten filled. So you could have gotten 21. So you could have gotten 21, risking 2. And then how high up there did it get there? 25? 5 ticks for 2. So I guess the risk reward would be acceptable, but you would have had to have gotten in at a spot where it would have been hard. You wouldn't have had a lot of time to see that and take it. I know that the bottom of the profile will be the best risk reward scenario for a day like this on a buy, but there just isn't enough going for me to commit. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is on a Monday when it's rangy, there's probably sometimes there's just not enough reward available for it to be worth taking the risk. I thought I had a good trade there. I mean, it has turned out I did get 3 favorable ticks and it never really went against me. But you can see here that it's just not. Now that 17 could still be a lure potentially. Just have to see. I also got to be careful because when it ticked up that last time, remember it ticked up and I liked how much they were stacking there. There was like 3,000 there or something like that. But sometimes they're stacking a ton there, not because they think it's going to go through. Okay, a little bit of an iceberg at 17. That's good. So E-mini going to try and break a high again. If they don't make it, if they get another sell there, then it's probably really going to sell. I'm looking at the largest orders on both sides of the market and trying to decide which ones the market seems to have more interest in filling, and it kind of feels like sellers want those big bids. Yeah. Come on, bro. You have to put some of your money back into circulation. People use that to buy boats and faster cars. Give backs. Well, to me, it feels like there is a passive buyer buying it up. But the sellers seem to believe in it. And I think that the sellers are also selling because of the E-mini is still kind of geared towards the high, and there's a potential for it to break a new high there. But, you know, that doesn't give you a very good spot, really, does it? I mean, the thing that I think I'm looking for is that the E-mini is going to come off here. And if they push the lower end of this thing beyond 90.25 or so here, then I think we could reach my target. I wasn't even looking for that strong of a target. Man. Okay. So you're in the E-mini there is selling for sure. They're about to make a new low in cumulative, local low in cumulative delta, even though they're like way up at the top. So you have probably a bunch of longs that are long all the way through here that are maybe getting nervous. Yes, the flip side is lots of bids absorbing down there. I could be totally off base with that, but I guess I'm just cautious on this newsy day. Yeah. Well, the way that I take it though is like when it's trending, the market orders always win. You want to go with the market orders, right? But when it's rangy, it's not so clear. And so I think that because it's ranging, I think that this is a situation where the limit orders are a better indication. And whenever they tick down, you can see people on the bid absorbing it. And then when we tick up, they just let it go through. I would certainly have a hard time going short in this action, but okay. There is some profit taking there at 17.5 though. Well, how long have I been in this for now? Almost 30 minutes. That's not usually not a good sign. The mini is going though. Okay. So now they're at that low pivot. There's some people buying it there. Of course, they're going to plow right through them. Okay. They're going to hold this 15 quarter in ZF. That's kind of still seems to be the problem. Now that one, there was 37 absorbed on the bid and 35 absorbed on the offer, but we did tick up. For all we know, that was the same guy. These sorts of trades are just excruciating. See, it shouldn't take 30 minutes to get 4 ticks. Okay, they're putting some pressure on, but they're not actually buying there at 18 yet. I'm kind of hoping that if they do decide to take 18, that there will be some stops. We've been back and forth here at 17.5 a couple of times actually. Bah. And they stack 27 on it again. And this 5-year just doesn't want to take out 15.5. That's the thing that's interesting. It's not even like it wouldn't be too hard. They're just not interested in it. The E-mini is still selling though. Lots of people getting out here at 17.5. Come on, you sell that. Sell it. Do it. They seem to still be battling it out in the E-mini. See them both ways there at 91. 28.91. And when we ticked up there at 17.5 and it was like a low offer, people were just getting out. I don't know if that was I would necessarily call that a lure, but that definitely looked like profit taking there to me. And the ZF is at that 15 again. Dang. Well, it's possible then my 16.5 might hold and we can go up and then go and break a new high. Like I think these guys at 19 want it. But the 5-year just took a big sell there. And I've got to go. Okay. Sure. I don't know what it's going to do. It's not very good trading today, is it? But to be only down 1 point in Treasuries is okay. Probably shouldn't have taken that first one, but it happens. Okay. Excuse me. Seth, are you going to be late to work? You know ITs get away with... No. So I don't have to be there until like 9:30. It just gives me a little bit less leeway to drive, but I'm good because I got everything ready to go. So I will catch you guys later. Tomorrow might be pretty iffy too, but then we get the CPI data on Wednesday, so then we should be... Or sorry, I think it's PPI on Wednesday. Either way, inflation numbers, it'll be good. We'll have fun. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.